Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Show. Still put your better names for whatever this thing is in the comments below. And we're recording these all in one session, so we won't have seen your comments from yesterday because to us that's in the future. But by next time, because we're looking to do this again next week, if you all like us still, and we'll talk more wrestling stuff, like the trade that's happening.
Yeah, no, it's not a trade. It's a superstar shakeup.
Yeah, that is an annoying turn of phrase that's already been overused.
It's WWE vernacular, man. It's a championship opportunity.
Yeah, let's say words that no one will ever say in that combination in real life.
Yeah, it's because then you can do hashtag superstar shakeup.
There's a J.G. Ballard story, like a short story, sci-fi set in the future, in this Vermilion Sands collection, and there's one bit where machines have effectively taken over story writing because they can just do a random combination of words, and it churns out this thing, and it's beautiful. Like the whole idea is it's really, really good writing, but it's now done by chance by these machines. I think this is a really, really unevolved version of that, where the words still sound crap, but it's done by a machine.
But this is why you have 27 writers. You don't come up with gold like superstar shakeup without 27 writers.
Like, what did the whiteboard look like? What are we going to call this, guys?
That's it, because he had to come up with a name.
Just write it all on the thing.
Got to come up with branding, because it's not the draft. Because the draft, I'm guessing, is still going to come in like June time.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see the rejected names for superstar shakeup when they're brainstorming that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, mind mapping. Brainstorming's an offensive word.
That certainly
now.
is, yeah. Do not
Can't
use
say
that.
brainstorming. No. But yes, today we're going to talk about still WrestleMania stuff because that was long.
What else are you going to talk about?
We will talk about the trades later on. But let's talk about some Undertaker.
I've seen a lot of discussion online, on Twitter in particular, some friends of mine on Facebook, just, generally among the hashtag IWC, in that...
On the Twitter.
Yeah. Should Roman Reigns have turned heel against The Undertaker?
I think every week this question is asked, but without the Undertaker part.
Absolutely.
Should Roman have turned heel last Tuesday?
I feel like it's 2007 all over again. It's like, why isn't Cena a heel? It's that all over again, apart from not Cena, it's now Roman Reigns. And my personal feelings on this are that I think it will be better for him in the long run. I think if you look at someone like The Rock, when he came in, he was the white meat baby face that just came in and was just high-fiving and being all smiley and all this sort of stuff. And he didn't really get a character until he joined the Nation. And then he finally took over the Nation. Then he split away from the Nation and became the corporate champion, The Rock, when he finally sided with his man.
Great interpretation of the character.
And he actually had a face turn in between that as well. But even though that face turn wasn't that great, he then got super over when he joined the corporation and became the corporate champion. And it was great. And then when he turned face in 1999, all of a sudden, he's this super mega babyface.
Oh, yeah, because SmackDown was named after him in 1999.
And everyone loved The Rock. And everyone was like, oh man, The Rock and Austin, they're like the two big baby faces now of this company. And then when Austin was injured, Rock was there to carry it over. And that was great. And it worked out so well for them. With Roman Reigns, they could do the same thing because the crowd, people were hating on The Rock. They were chanting, die, Rocky, die. And he just used that as part of his heel turn. They could do that with Roman as well. It's like, I mean, you guys don't like me, so why should I do anything for you anymore?
Okay. Oh, you still carrying on?
Okay, so
all right,
there's that. So I think
that's one argument.
That's one argument. I think that in a perfect world, and I think in a long-term plan, Roman Reigns should turn heel because it'll work. It'll just work better for him, and he can work better with the crowd, and he doesn't have to try and be a babyface and try and cut babyface promos while people are booing him. You also then don't have to watch Bring It to the Table, where JBL is just going like, "Oh man, if you stand up and boo him, that means you care."
Where's JBL? Oh man, it's just you.
It's just me. Sorry.
And I go back and bully Mauro Ranallo.
Watching him and watching. Pete Rosenberg, the stooge that he is, just having a go at us for booing Roman Reigns.
I feel sorry for him.
I felt sorry for him as well.
Sam Roberts as well.
I felt sorry for Pete Rosenberg until that WrestleMania Bring It to the Table when I turned against him a little bit. Anyway, so completely behind that. The other side of it is that WWE have made this decision. And if they're not going to bother doing the heel turn, and they're not going to bother doing a heel turn correctly, and they're not just going to let him be a heel because he's their guy, He's the guy that they're going to put on all the posters. He's the guy that's going to have all the merchandise. He's the guy that's going to go and start doing all the Make-A-Wish stuff for dying kids. Then don't turn him heel. Just stick with the plan. Stick with what you're doing. Because there's nothing that's going to change their mind. There really isn't anything that's going to change their mind. Dave Meltzer had a really excellent point. I think it was Meltzer anyway that said it on Wrestling Observer Radio.
Was it the booing thing?
Said that booing is not going to kill Roman Reigns. Silence is going to kill Roman Reigns. And if all of us, and I did it, I was there at the Raw house show thing that was meant to be a network special that they did in October, and we all did. We all stood up and we all booed, and Roman sucks, Roman sucks. We were just like the crowd at the Raw after Mania. But we're part of the problem. We're just feeding the machine. We're just saying, like, yeah, just go with it, which means we just have to keep putting up with WWE making things up and saying, like, oh, he gets booed in some towns, but everywhere else loves him. And he always sells out merchandise, which I think is a real misnomer anyway, because I've been to WWE events and the percentage of merchandise that he has compared to everyone else is unreal. Like, he'll have about 5 or 6 shirts. The New Day will have, like, 4 shirts. That house show I was at in October, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn in the main event. Owens is champion. Owens didn't have a single T-shirt there, and Sami didn't have a T-shirt there either.
Is that where you got these bad boys?
Oh no, I bought the Owens one at a previous show, but I bought that Rollins one from there because Rollins was the only man in the main event who had a T-shirt up there.
That's crazy.
Which is craziness.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring this up, but the last video we did, you said Reigns doesn't move merch. Which I think you meant Reigns doesn't move any more merch than anyone else.
I think that he doesn't move merch in the sense that I don't think he moved merch in a fair capacity.
To the opportunities he's given and
exactly,
the
yeah.
Sure.
Like AJ doesn't have the same opportunity to sell merch that Roman does.
He's got gloves. Roman don't have gloves.
Roman has gloves?
PI.
Yeah, he's got his Roman Reigns ones, so you can do the...
Oh, yeah, of course. What's that,
You can do all that, mate.
Break the glass ceiling. Just got to break the glass ceiling. Yes. But Reigns, so the report was Reigns sells the most merch out of the full-timers. So Cena, a lot of people have been saying, oh, Reigns has overtaken Cena. That's not what the quote was. It's like Cena's class as a part-timer.
Yeah.
So Cena still sells the most merch. Right, so here's my question, and it's something I've been struggling with because personally I believe Roman Reigns should turn heel because it affects the way WWE tells stories. I like stories to have morality for the good guy to overcome stuff at the end, but that can't work when you're booking a guy as a really strong babyface and everyone's reacting to him in the opposite way. Oh man, Michael Cole's line on the Raw.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, the crazy non-traditional WWE fans here.
It's Bizarro World. They boo people they would usually cheer, and they would cheer people they usually boo.
I think it's network subscriptions because they don't have any direct feedback to see where they're going wrong now.
Yeah.
So usually you'd have a pay-per-view buy, and Roman's headlining pay-per-views. The pay-per-views aren't doing very well, so we need to find someone else. But because it's networks, you don't get that feedback system anymore. You get TV ratings, which are just a slowly, steady decline, and social media numbers, which don't mean anything, but are very high because people just have to click. They don't have to spend money or spend 2 hours of their life watching it. Anyway, right, so Roman Reigns, here's the thing I'm struggling with. Maybe you can help me. How do you turn Roman Reigns heel and not have all the people who have been booing him start cheering him?
Okay, so the New Day are a good example in this. Everyone just started booing the New Day. They were these baby faces that came out. They were clap along for positivity or whatever that was. Feel the power of positivity. They then just used that into a heel act. So everyone was chanting. They wanted people to chant "New Day rocks, New Day rocks," and everyone shouted "New Day sucks" at them. So they just make that part of their routine, and that's great. And then all of a sudden, they became these really great heels that we could all boo because we didn't like them to begin with anyway. But then that naturally turns you back into a babyface.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that if we're going to be booing him anyway because nobody likes him. Well, not kids and women. I think I hate using that as general terms, but kids and women like Roman Reigns, so they're going to cheer him. Well, they're not. They're going to hopefully boo him as well as a heel. but we're just going to boo him, and then eventually, when he starts becoming cool again, we might naturally turn him back into a babyface.
And that's when you turn him, back there. You do amazing. You do stuff based on crowd reactions. What a novelty! So here's my thing: how do you do that initial heel turn? Because you can't make him a cool heel right away. So, I mean, I don't think they have to change a great deal.
Not at all.
Maybe he just has to cheat. He has to cheat a few times, but not so much where it becomes cool, because you're like, oh, he's cheating, that's cool, or he's really being a badass, beating him down. And then you also have to have him positioned on the side. You have to have him go up against good guys.
Yeah.
You can't put him against better heels, right? You can't have Reigns versus Kevin Owens or Reigns versus Samoa Joe. That doesn't work. But Reigns versus Seth Rollins, where I think Seth Rollins got a good bit of momentum now. Now he's finally apologized for trusting Triple H, and he said that was more about redemption than revenge. Such a good line to explain that character arc. But yeah, I think Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins is a super underdog babyface. Reigns is just this exactly how he is now.
Yeah.
But the difference is, occasionally Reigns slightly cheats and makes a bit more of the fact he beated the Undertaker, and Rollins wins in the end. That's where I don't see this playing out, because WWE and Vince McMahon seem to position and structure everything around Reigns winning in the end.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's not how heel babyface dynamics work. You'll need, if he's the heel, you'll need Rollins to win.
Okay, so here's the other side of it. Why you can't turn Roman Reigns heel at this point. WWE have invested not just a bit of time, all of their time in making Roman Reigns the guy. So, because you've spent the last 3 years, because he has now headlined 3 WrestleManias on the bounce, and he's going to be headline a 4th. He's going to tie Hogan's records of headlining 4 Manias on the bounce. You're spending all these 3 years making him the guy.
Like, you're making me tense.
Yeah,
I can feel my shoulders raising.
Yeah. So you spent these 3 years making him the guy. Problem with that is then you've ignored everyone else. Yeah. Dean Ambrose is now just a guy because they didn't put any effort into him when they broke off from the Shield. Such a mid-carder now because you didn't put any effort into him. Seth Rollins had the worst babyface turn since Alberto Del Rio had that really bad babyface turn.
That's a really good comparison.
And then, who else? Here's the thing: if you turn him heel, who is the number 1 babyface in the company? Who is over at a level where they could be the number 1 babyface in the company?
Well, Styles seemed to have turned face, shaking McMahon's hand on last night's SmackDown. Nakamura.
Yes, well, yeah, okay. Now that Nakamura's up on the main roster, then yes, absolutely Nakamura. But Nakamura, the other thing with Nakamura as well is you've got to wonder how
Finn Balor.
If Balor's not over to the same level of being a number 1 babyface, I'd much rather see Balor be number 1 babyface, even though I think he's a great heel. But with Nakamura, we've got to remember that this is the Mania crowd. This is the markiest of the mark crowd there. It's not the reaction Nakamura got this week. It's the reaction Nakamura gets next week. It's going to be the real telling point of whether he can be the number 1 face of the company. Although he never will be.
But back to the original question, should Roman Reigns have turned heel on The Undertaker? Because, and the reason this is problematic, and he did seem like he was going there when he was bashing Taker down with a chair.
Here's the thing, what I kind of admire about Roman is that Roman often does work as the heel.
So does Hogan, so does Cena.
Yeah.
Like that, you can't see me.
Yeah.
Punch the guy in the face.
Well, no, but Roman in matches does work as the heel. And he had to in that match against Undertaker because they were never going to be able to have the babyface match because the crowd were going to be behind one guy and not behind the other. So Reigns, in those situations, he's a very smart man and he does listen to what the crowd are doing and he already knows what how the crowd is going to react to him. So he knows when to work heel against someone.
Man, I think, because neither of us, that there's a popular sentiment to say Roman Reigns is a bad wrestler.
He's not.
He has such good matches.
He's great.
And it takes 2 to tango. Like those matches with Styles last year, that's as much Roman. It's 30% Roman and 70% AJ. But that's still like a solid 30%. And he has, like the matches with Strowman, really good.
Well, the point I was going to make was one of my favorite things is like everyone used to say that Cena can't wrestle. Cena's awful. Cena, you can't wrestle. Cena sucks. And the one that always springs to mind is that when it was Cena and The Rock against Miz and R-Truth, and everyone was saying like Cena sucks. You can't wrestle at Cena. Out of those 4 people, Cena's the only person who ever have 5-star matches.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, you're saying that he can't wrestle. People say otherwise. Like the stats say otherwise.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think what Roman shows him. I remember one time he was in a match with Rusev when they had that never-ending feud. It was like last year.
Yeah.
God, it seems like an eternity ago.
Yeah.
And there was a bit where he picked up a chair and it looked like he was going to hit Rusev as the babyface. And everyone was like, yeah, go on, hit him. This is badass. And Reigns just put the chair down and sat on it.
Yeah.
And I think those tendencies, he's obviously very good at reading a crowd. I would love to see him run as an actual heel and all the little things he could do with that.
Yeah,
the promo on this week's Raw just stayed silent. Just the amount of times that was perfectly orchestrated.
Yeah.
Microphone up to the lips, shout at me some more. Now I'm going to say it. This is my yard now.
I was going to say, and let's not forget, there was a period of time where we were all super into Roman Reigns as a babyface.
Forget about that.
Like, there was a period of time when we all thought, he's awesome. And I kept saying, like, I remember I wanted him to win the Rumble. I thought he was awesome. It's just that the WWE booking of him since that has made me turn against him. Because they have... I don't want to go down the whole, like, they shove him down our throat. Because I don't buy into that because you have to if you're the number one babyface.
Yeah.
It's the promos that he cuts. I think his selling's a bit goofy because they suddenly made him the babyface in peril all the time. And he was better when he was just this big Samoan dude who beat people up. And it was awesome. Now all of a sudden he's got to sell and lose all the time and just look like a chump.
Yeah. We've done it again.
We're
not talking about The Undertaker.
Sorry.
So the difficulty is, do you turn Roman Reigns, WrestleMania... This was the first topic of the show.
I know.
We're 18 minutes in. Do you turn Roman Reigns heel in his match against The Undertaker? Because if you do, there's an argument that would have devalued what came after. Because Reigns versus The Undertaker wasn't the thing there. The match wasn't important, really. It was about what happened afterwards, which was a very, very well executed retirement. I thought it was quite emotional.
It was very nice. It was very nice.
So... yeah, well, do you think there's any way... Oh, we've had a T-shirt down.
Oh, dear.
Would you have any way to turn Roman heel in that while keeping the integrity of The Undertaker?
That was it. It was, if The Undertaker's retiring, it was not the match to do it in. Because what you don't want to do is do something that would overshadow the story of The Undertaker retiring. That's what that match was there to do. That match was there to say that Roman is now... it's his yard. He's the guy... and Undertaker is leaving us and he's never coming back. You don't then want to have something that overshadows that. Like, and could you imagine if you, like, when Undertaker was doing his really sad striptease?
That was... originally, when I wrote the review of WrestleMania, I had a whole bit about... but I needed to get it to 4 minutes. I had a whole bit about how that was the saddest, slowest striptease I'd ever seen. But actually, and then I'm like, oh no, wait a sec. There was this girl in Liverpool who had no teeth and accepted WH Smith vouchers for payment. But I can take it out. I'm ashamed that I should have had that in.
Anyway, can you imagine he was doing his
story.
his slow, sad striptease, and then Roman came back in and gave him another spin? Could you imagine the heat he'd have got for that? That would have been amazing.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
That would have been
I imagined it in the match. He walks off, then Undertaker does his stuff.
No. It just goes down. It's just like, and he spears him. It's like you disrespectful MFer. That was my win, and you're trying to take that win away from me.
Oh, but that fits.
Like, that would have been awesome. It'd have been so great. That's how I would have booked his heel turn.
Ah, that's really good. Because a lot of people were saying the same thing about an equally thing that was never going to happen, an equally impossible thing, was John Cena saying, no, I'm not going to marry you to Nikki. And that's when he finally turns heel after all these years.
Gives her the FU and walks out the ring.
Yeah, kisses Maurice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is the larger problem, and this is... but that was a nice sound if you've got headphones on listening to this. I've become obsessed with heat transference over the last week and how is it better to have this nice moment, or is it better to... Because I don't think you can really have to be precious in wrestling. You know, when a lot of people got, oh, you shouldn't use Paul Bearer's death in the CM Punk Undertaker angle.
Yeah. Or Eddie's death in the Randy feud, yeah.
Yeah, that's different. That doesn't tie in. But, you know, Paul Bearer was... I feel like if Paul Bearer was around, he would have loved to have been used in an angle. And I feel like anyone who's into wrestling kind of accepts that everything's going to be used as an angle.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to be. So, is it better to have this moment where Undertaker retires, or is it better to transfer all that heat? Because at the moment, Undertaker's left, where did the heat go? This is something that the rest of the people I hang out with sometimes talk about. Yeah, but where's the heat? And if you have someone leave with the heat, like that's wasted heat. That's the worst thing in wrestling. You've had all this pent-up energy, the crowd want to see something, and it's gone. It's just dissipated. But if Reigns took that heat from The Undertaker, which is in a heel turn, or the ridiculous way you just said, then that heat isn't wasted. It's not wasted on just... I don't want to say wasted on a moment, because it was a really nice moment, but long-term, storyline-wise, building other characters in the company... It does nothing. So you transfer that heat to Roman, and then he's off to the races. Like that's something you can run with, just like Brock Lesnar did when he broke the streak, which was the first time Vince McMahon thought The Undertaker was going to retire. That's why he made that cool. It's a shame he didn't. Well, I guess he did do it again. Again, it's what happened with Shinsuke Nakamura's debut on SmackDown this week. He didn't do anything with The Miz. And I'm like, well, The Miz currently has all the heat from John Cena. Because John Cena's gone now, so all that's with The Miz. But you can't have all that heat, that babyface heat on a heel, so you give it to another babyface, and then it should have been Nakamura. It just kicks Miz's head off right away. You have a short, month-long feud, then put Nakamura in the title picture. But they didn't do that, and then subconsciously I think people would go, Nakamura's kind of already on Cena's level. If you don't know anything about Nakamura, that is.
Yeah.
Which I imagine the vast majority of WWE viewers wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm rambling a bit. I've also written down a huge definition of heat transference, because I thought I might refer to that. Convection.
Just to peel back the curtain a little bit more, since I've come to the studio, Ollie has talked about nothing but heat transference to me, and how excited he is to talk about heat transference on this show. Like, you're super into this.
I've been thinking about it a lot. It's kind of like a half-baked theory I'm working on. Yeah, just the idea that you should never waste anything in wrestling. If it's the thing Paul Heyman always used to say about booking. The worst thing in wrestling is a wasted resource, and that's why it's and really those resources are there to elicit reactions from the crowd. Heat. Heat isn't a bad thing. It is if you've got backstage heat, but heat in general means a reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
Heel heat, babyface heat. You give him the heat. That's the weird way wrestlers speak. And I get very confused sometimes. And with hand gestures, they do things. I'm pretty sure they're calling me an idiot most of the time. So yeah, that's what I've got to say on that. Think about it. The t-shirts are back up. Now, one of the other conundrums we've had in recent days is how, off the back of the WrestleMania 33 loss and the fizzling out of the feud, really, it hasn't done well since the house burning down, I think. How do you rebuild the Bray Wyatt character? Any thoughts?
Yeah,
Any ideas?
I mean, what made Bray Wyatt great to begin with is he had the Wyatt family. He wasn't just Bray Wyatt. He also had Eric Rowan and Luke Harper, and they were like his heavies, and they were this great...
And Braun. But that was later.
So, yes. And then you introduced Braun into that as well. I think the only way that you can really rebuild Bray at this point, because I think they've gone too far down the supernatural routes with it, is, I know you've just brought Rowan back, but almost kind of give them time off. And that's the kind of the way I think that... I'm not saying that WWE needs to have an off-season, but I do think that they need to work better on just taking characters off TV for a while.
Yeah.
And because that helps their characters stay fresh and helps them keep a bit more... Like, the only time wrestlers take time off is if they're injured. And then they come back with a new character, or they come back and they feel a bit more fresh again.
Or Emma.
Or Emma. So I would take...
Sorry to interrupt. she's broken up with Zack Ryder now.
I heard, yes.
That's official.
Yeah.
So
she's on the market, lads.
Yeah.
Have at it, I suppose. Not in a creepy way. Don't harass her on Twitter.
Don't harass her. That's not nice.
But if you see her in a bar and you think you might try your luck, then,
Yeah. Just open with an autograph thing.
Yeah.
Can I get a selfie?
Yeah, just don't be a dick
How
about
about
it.
a drink?
Yeah.
Because you're lovely.
And I think that you deserve to be booked better than you have been over the last 18 months.
I'd open about and maybe record that and then send us the shoot interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Bray Wyatt.
I would take Bray off TV for a while. And I would just let him go back to basics, go back to those NXT basics, just let him go into the woods and film some vignettes of him doing a segment. As if, like, his whole thing is, I need to rebuild the Wyatt family. So he's got Eric, and he's got his only sheep left, and he now needs to add more sheep to that flock. And he essentially just rebuilds the Wyatt family, and then he comes back bigger and stronger than ever because he's once again, Bray Wyatt, he's once again the Eater of Worlds. And he is here to take over the WWE.
I really like that.
Thank you.
You keep him off TV. Mm-hmm. You can still do the house shows because you need the house show bucks.
You need the dollar bill, y'all.
But you keep him off TV, but he's off TV wrestling.
Yeah.
And you just have about 2 months of segments. One not every week, but pretty much one every week. But you miss a week here and there. And it's just him going round. He's only got Eric with him now, the guy who isn't the best out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Because Braun broke up with him as well. That's something they really botched, I reckon, around that Survivor Series time. I really wished Braun was just going to side with Bray in that match, because that would have really made that dynamic interesting if he's still got that power over him. But I don't know what that would have done to Strowman's character in the long run. But yeah, he goes round recruiting, and then he comes back with like the Wyatt Family 2.0, Eric, Bo Dallas isn't doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, bring up some NXT guys.
Yeah, have a woman in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, be great. Yeah.
But now you've got like a troupe of 4 or 5 people. Mm-hmm. It's even bigger than the initial Wyatt family.
And even better, when they come back, you can then have them feud with Luke Harper, who's the obvious feud, especially with Luke Harper now on his babyface run. And the whole thing is just like, Luke, look what you've left. Look what you could have been a part of. Look how powerful we are.
Do you know how I would end that particular story?
Please tell me.
I think Bray is untapped as a badass babyface. And I think when they come back, it should almost be they start off as heels like that, but then Luke Harper slowly joins them at the end of that feud. Mm-hmm. But it's done in a way, I don't know how to do it, but it's done in a way where it's not a bad thing. Almost them coming together after hashing out their in the ring is good for everyone involved, and now it's all good. But they're this badass babyface faction, i.e. they don't cheat. Mm-hmm. But they're all a group together. You don't have any face factions. You do in New Japan, and I really like that.
And that's because, from what I can gather, Vince hates stables.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It was a Vince Russo thing. Yeah, like, you look back and wonder, like, why were there so many factions in 1998? Because you had like Los Barricas and DOA, and you had like all of these factions. Like, yeah, Vince Russo loves them.
I mean, I love them too.
Yeah, me too.
I love them too because it makes everything more interesting. You've got alliances and you can play around with the political relationships. It makes defections really, really cool.
Yeah, there's a reason why I'm super into Sanity at the moment in NXT. Because it's a cool faction.
Shield, like Wyatt Family, the most over acts, really, of the last 5 years.
Oh, man.
Have been a lot of factions. Straight Edge Society.
That Shield Wyatt match.
Yeah, the Nexus.
A couple of years ago. Man, like the heat that match got was incredible.
Yeah, so that's how to rebuild Bray.
And don't do any of the don't do holograms, don't do children singing, don't do maggots being projected onto rings. Just have him be cool.
Before we get out of here, what do you think this House of Horrors match is going to be?
Oh, man, I don't know. More projections, I guess. I hope it is literally like a haunted house.
In a haunted house, yeah. Like crazy mirror bit. Kind of like a boiler room brawl, but... in a haunted house.
Only way that would be cool is if they did it like The Guest. You know, like
with all the smoke. Yeah, it's a good film.
A great film. So I'm actually kind of hoping that it's almost like they film it like Final Deletion, where it's all pre-taped and you just watch a movie and that's what it is.
Well, that's the final meeting, the final cross-brand meeting of the factions. The Wyatt family versus the Broken Hardys dynasty. That was awesome.
Shut up.
Well, that's all we've got time for on this Friday episode. Pretty sure it's going to go up on Friday. It's weird because this is all at the same... We're recording this all at the same time. We're still trying to figure out what to do, people. This is a new thing for us. Hopefully, it becomes a frequent thing. So let us know in the comments if you liked it. If you have any suggestions, like is there a segment you would like to see? A mailbag would be one.
Topics you would like us to discuss?
Just singing bits.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of people going... Here's wrestler A, here's wrestler B. Fantasy book a feud on the fly. And we don't know that it's like a game on air.
Yeah.
It'd be fun and wacky. But for the meantime, please do press subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button if you really enjoyed us. And share it around.